Hey, welcome to X3, one topic with three pundits, myself included. I'm John C. Dvorak. I'm here with Andrew Eisner and Joe Engo to discuss malware targeting Android phones.
Yeah,
it's a real shock.
Well, you know, this story came out, and then
the story is that virtually 99.9% of malware developers are targeting Android.
Which is,
of course, because it's
so
significantly
you've got some.
No, Chris DeBona, who heads up Google's
Android,
the development, Linux development segment, which deals with Android phones, he came out with a public statement, didn't get a lot of publicity, saying this is bull crap.
Yeah.
He says there's no evidence that there's any malware at all on the Android phone.
Well, that's ridiculous because there
whatsoever.
has been verified malware.
Yeah, well,
if there's no verified malware, then why is there virus scanners on the Android?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't mean anything. Why are there virus scanners?
Then what are they scanning for?
It's like the TSA. They're scanning for stuff that's not
no,
there.
No. But if there's a virus scanner, what is it scanning for?
Yeah.
If there's no virus definitions, then what is it scanning for?
Yeah.
It's not doing anything.
Well, maybe it's there for some future use.
But you know, this report actually was not just like any fly-by-night organization. It came out of an Intel-owned company, McAfee.
McAfee is the biggest promoters of virus. So, you know, I mean, McAfee began its history by creating a virus newsletter and then encouraging virus development so they could sell the software against it.
Yeah.
I think there's just to sell software.
I don't think so. I think
And it's not Intel. It's not like Odalini is in there, you know, writing the press release.
But it does make sense. I mean, Android, if it's not a huge target right now, it will be a huge target over time.
I think
it's
the
a lot more
iPhone
difficult,
is a better target than the Android.
But it might be a better target, but it's way more difficult to actually pull off. It's very easy to pull off on an Android. You can get people to download all sorts of wacky, crazy things.
Yeah, there are a lot of them they're Trojan based, but here's what McAfee says. You know that the most prevalently found infections worldwide in order are malicious iframes, malicious Windows shortcut files, parasitic file infectors, USB-based auto-run
What do they
parasitic.
do?
But that's more on the PC realm. I mean,
okay.
Well, I mean, I guess you theoretically could have that on Android, but the auto-run stuff like you can't have on Android. But iframes, you could potentially do that, but you're going to still have to use some sort of an exploit in the browser in order to
But
do
see, the fact too is that this is one of the reasons why people use iPhones. I mean, Apple equipment, because Apple is your sort of overseer, and even though, I mean, Amazon now has apparently strict requirements for getting your app on their app store. Everything else is a free-for-all. I mean, Google, if I can make a open letter to Google, someone needs to police the Android market, and it should be Google.
Well, Google's response to that, because people have asked them on that, Google's response is, well, people can report malicious applications.
Yeah.
Sure, after 5,000 people have downloaded them and installed them, but no, you can report them.
So it's basically a free-for-all. I mean, yes, it's open source.
Reboot the phone.
Well.
Reset it. Factory settings, boom, you're back on your way.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Maybe.
How hard can that be?
But if it gets in the bootloader,
if
it's a rootkit and it gets in the bootloader,
it's not going to get into the bootloader.
Why not?
Who's going to write
if it's
this
a
up? Because
rootkit,
nobody is going do a complete download of the operating system from scratch. Reboot. How hard can it be? It's a phone. It's not some massive machine with a complex operating system. It's a little phone.
Well, I disagree that it's not a complex operating system. It's Linux, dude.
Yeah. And not only that,
Linux is not a complex
not only
operating
that,
system.
some of these things are actually more insidious when they get on the phone because they can
What's it going to do?
They can send messages.
You're going to erase the hard disk
load
on
your
the
whole
phone? What's it going
contacts.
to do?
Well, it's going to send SMS
People
spam.
have so much information on their phones now, all their contacts, all their appointments. I mean, it's very vulnerable. It's not a good situation for.
I think that you're more likely to have your phone stolen.
Well,
then they could get all the information off of it and start sending SMS messages to your friends.
That's true.
I'm wondering how long it's going to be until somebody performs a DOS attack from phones. Because think about it, you get 20 million, 30 million phones out there, you get them all to send a few pings at once, take down any site. Well, not any site, but a lot of
If
sites.
anybody ever does that, I'll write it up.
But anyway, along
As I'm impressed.
In the same report, they did mention that on the positive side, spam is at its lowest level since 2007. So all these Trojans and rootkits and everything are on the rise, but spam.
So talking about that, what about some of these new cyber threats? Suppose Stuxnet, Duku, what's that?
This is the
What
cyber
is that? How do you
warfare.
pronounce it?
I have no idea how to pronounce it.
Duku actually comes from the fact that the files that this DQ creates or have a DQ name or something. So what they found is that, you remember Stuxnet, the thing that blew up the Iran centrifuge? Well, I mean, it's pretty clear.
There's a new, what was the one floating around that got into the
that's right.
turning on and off the pumps?
That's right. And they say it's all related to the SCADA, which is the control and administration front end to all these industrial systems. I mean, Siemens, I don't know if is SCADA just apply to Siemens, or is it sort of a universal?
That's their system, but but it's an industry.
So Siemens makes all these industrial control systems, and apparently anybody can hack their, well, what they did on the Stuxnet thing, they actually had to steal through espionage some passwords and then break in. So
it's also
physical spying, and then
you had to bust into the place with a screwdriver.
Well, they had to bust into somebody's computer.
It was also forged certificates too.
Yeah, that's right. It's forged certificates, and but it's crazy. I mean, the amount of cyber warfare that is taking place in the worldwide is just, I mean, unbelievable.
And plus, these are systems that are not even connected to the internet. Right. So these are local physical attacks that people are doing.
Yeah, and this is, I think.
Well, you could go in there with a hammer for all that matters. You just start pounding on stuff, and what are you going to? Well, there's no real angle of discussion because it's not a virus.
But this is a sign of the times too. In fact, I think who was it? One of the. The head of the defense, what's his name now? Panetta. I think he said the next Pearl Harbor is going to come through cyber. I mean, so
Gates
meanwhile,
said that before
meanwhile, I mean, you've got the Defense Department building these, new bombs and aircraft carriers, and the threat is coming in, over the internet. So
cut off the connection.
Well, the connection is.
No, it's not that easy.
It is too.
It's the Chinese, it's the Russians, it's the Israelis, it's the.
They don't want to cut off the connection because it's cheaper. If you have everything's hooked to the internet, some guy at home, sitting in his underwear, scratching his gut, can check on something someplace else.
That guy's just interested in football. He's not doing it.
Well, you can see my attitude about this. All right, we'll discuss this more in the future, I'm sure. You've been watching X3.